Hey lovies, welcome back to my YouTube channel and you're welcome to another tutorial. And so guys, today's tutorial is going to be all about this stylish shaped dress. As you can see, it has a waist drawstring, a rope running across the waistline in which you can use to pull the waistline together, and also it has a stylish band collar which is running starting from the hem of the dress all the way into the neckline, and you can see that it's looking so nice. So guys, if you are ready, don't forget to subscribe, like. If you have any question as you go by, please do also drop it in the comment section. And if you're ready guys, let's just get into the video. So for this style of dress, you'll be needing about 3 yards of Ankara fabrics, and that is depending on the wideness and the height of the person too. So the first thing to do is to fold the fabrics into two. So you can actually get the accurate folding measurement by dividing the broadest part into two. So for this is the sleeve. Remember, it's a regular seam that is cut together with sleeve. Then having done that, we go ahead to fold it again into four, because we'll be cutting both the front and the back block together. So having done that, the length of the sleeve together with the shoulder measurement is 14 inches. We'll be adding 2 inches hemming allowance, and that will make it 16 inches. So the neck width for both the front and the back is 3 inches. If the person you are making the dress for is fat and thick, you may consider using about 3.5 or 4 inches for the neck width. Then having done that, we'll place the neck width measurement of 3 inches for this. So for the back neck depth, we'll be considering that first, and that will be 1 inches. Then after taking away the front from the back, we can go ahead to mark the front neck depth. We go next by placing our shoulder slope. We come down with about 1.5 inches from the sleeve hem. Then we connect it slantly back to the neckline. Then having done that, we go ahead to mark our intending sleeve band. So for this, we'll be considering about 9 inches plus the seam allowance to place our half length measurement. For this is 15 inches. We'll be adding 10 inches to that to get our hip line. That is 25 inches. And the length of the dress is 38 inches. Then we'll be adding about 2 inches hemming allowance to it. At the half length, we'll be placing our waist measurement divided by 4. For this is 7.5. We had our normal 1.5 inches seam allowance. That will make it about 9 inches. Then we'll be adding extra 4 inches allowance, and that is because we are still going to be putting a drawstring rope there, so it's going to pull back the waist together. If the person you are making it for is very thick or wide, you may consider using more than that allowance. You may consider using about 5, 6 or 7 inches allowance depending on the body size. The hips measurement divided by 4 is 10, and we're placing that at the hips line. So at the hips line, we'll be adding extra 3 inches allowance to it. So we'll just be adding 3 inches and making it equal with our waistline measurement. And also at the hem, we'll be using the same measurement we have at our hip line, also at the hem of the dress, to make it easy to work with. At our sleeve band, we'll take the exact measurement, which is 14 inches. Remember, we added 2 inches hemming allowance for the sleeve, which makes it about 16 inches. So we'll mark the exact 14 inches. Then we'll tilt it out like a slant line to the hem. So this is basically going to allow us to fold in the sleeve when stitching the hem without pulling inward. Then we'll connect it back to our body's measurement to the sleeve band. And also at the shoulder slope, we'll mark the 14 inches. Then we'll rule it out like a straight line for us to hem it easily while sewing it. So having done all this, the next thing for us to do is just to cut it out. So having cut it out, we'll go ahead to separate the back from the front. Then we'll lay the front flat. Go ahead to mark the front neck depth, which is 7 inches. So from the center front, we'll be marking 1.5 inches from the neck depth all the way to the hem. So from the neck depth of the front, you will go ahead to connect it like a slant line back to the neck width for the front. So having done that, we are going to rule it out like a slant line, and we are going to be cutting it out. So this place is going to be replaced back with the collar and the stylish band at the center of the dress. So we'll be placing lunge at where the neck depth end, that is the 7 inches, just like I'm doing. Then having done that, we'll go ahead to take our back block. Then we'll make it align together with the front block at the shoulder. Then starting from the center back, we'll go ahead to measure the neck circumference, just like I'm doing. So for this, it's about 4 inches. We keep the back block, then we subtract ½ inches for the seam allowance, joining of both shoulders together. Then having done that, we go ahead to keep measuring all the way to the hem of the dress. Then for this, we have a total length of 44 inches. The next thing for us to cut out is the stylish band, which will be running into the neck as a collar. So remember, we cut out 1½ inches on fold from our center front. So we'll be adding ½ inches for seam allowance. That will make it 2 inches on fold. Then we'll be cutting out 4 inches length of band, and the length is going to be 44 inches in which we measured the other time. And we'll be cutting out 2 pieces for this. So these 2 bands are going to be stitched together, and it's going to run starting from the center back all the way into the hem of the dress. The next thing to cut out is the pocket, the front pocket. So for us to do that, we'll fold the fabrics into 4. We'll be cutting 2 pieces, that is both pockets together. So for the pocket width, we'll be using a pocket width of 6 inches. That is 3 inches on fold. Then we'll be adding 1½ inches for the hemming allowance. So we'll go ahead to mark 4½ inches for the pocket width. The length of the pocket is 7 inches. We'll be adding 2½ inches hemming allowance. Then we'll also mark that out. Then having done that, we go ahead to place a lunge at the center of the pocket. We'll also mark 3 inches for the exact width of the pocket. Then we'll also place a lunge on that as well. The last thing we'll be cutting out is the drawstring rope rack and the rope. And for us to do that, we'll take our block, then we'll go ahead to measure the total waist circumference. For this is 13 inches on fold, that is 26 inches, and that will be times 2 to include the front waist measurement, and that will give us a total of about 52 inches. So we'll go ahead to fold the fabrics into 4. We'll be using a width of 2 inches. Then we'll go ahead to mark out the length, then we'll cut it out. So for the rope, we'll be using a width of 1½ inches for the rope. The rope should be more longer than the rope rack, and that is because to avoid the rope from pulling inward. And having done that, we'll go ahead to cut out the rope as well, and that will be all for the cutting. So for the sewing, the first thing to do is to join the shoulder. We'll make the front side face each other, face the back. Then we'll go ahead to join both the front and the back shoulder using about ½ inches seam. I'll be doing this for both panel of the front. We join it to the back shoulder. So after this, we open it up to the right side, and starting from the center back, we'll go ahead to measure the neck circumference from the lunge at the center back. We'll measure it all the way to the neck depth at the front, and for this we have a total of about 11½ inches. We go ahead to keep the main fabrics. Then we'll take the 2 pieces of the band collar. First, we go ahead to join it at the wrong side, just like the way it's appearing by the camera. Then having done that, we go ahead to measure the 11½ inches starting from where we stitched. That is going to be for the neck circumference. Then having done that, we'll rule it out. So having done that, we'll go ahead to take the main fabrics again. Then we use this to determine the length of the slit opening we want at the hem of the dress. So we keep that back. Then we take our main band. The first thing to do is to mark the 2 inches for the hemming allowance in which we added for the main dress. Then we mark 5 inches for the opening, for the slit opening on the band. So having done that, the next thing to determine is the midpoint of the band. The full width of the band is about 4 inches and the midpoint is 2 inches. So starting from where the neck circumference ends, we are going to mark the 2 inches all the way to where the slit of the dress is going to start from. We just go ahead and mark the 2 inches all along. Then having done that, that particular place in which we have marked out, we are going to go ahead and stitch it. So while stitching it, make sure that you reverse it in order for it not to open up. So stitch it down and we stitch it to get to the hem, that is before the slit of the hem. So we go ahead to open it up just like the way it's appearing by the camera. Then that particular place in which we stitch both bands together, that is going to be at our center back. And the next thing for us to do is just to go ahead to stitch the band all along towards the neck circumference and back into the center front, just like the way it's appearing by the camera. So we are going to be stitching it using about 1 cm. Remember, we left about ½ inches for the seam allowance. Just like the way I'm doing, just go ahead to stitch it all round. Then having stitched the first panel with the band, we turn it over to the second panel of the front. Then we go ahead to join it all round. Then having joined it, this is how it looks like. So you can see that the collar and the band is sitting pretty well on the neck, and the band has already replaced what we removed from the center front. So having done that, the next thing for us to do is to go ahead and fold the hem of the sleeve. Remember, we left about 2 inches, so I'm just going to go ahead and stitch it down on both sides of the sleeve. So having stitched down the sleeve, the next thing for us to do, we go to a flat table in which we can spread the dress well. Then we go ahead to mark where the pockets will be sitting. So starting from the shoulder, we measure the half length. The half length is 15 inches. Then we'll be adding 3 inches, make it about 18 inches. So we'll be marking 18 inches, and that is where the pocket is going to be starting from. So from the center front, we are going to be coming outward with about 4 inches towards the first place in which we have marked out for the pocket. So we'll come outward with about 4 inches. Then we are just going to sketch how the pocket is going to sit. The length of the pocket is 7 inches. We are also going to mark that out. So having sketched the way the pocket will sit, the next thing to do, we can take the pocket pieces. So you can either choose to use an hemming gun to firstly hold down the pocket hem, but if you don't want to, you can just use an office pin just like I'm doing. We are going to pin down the hem just for it to guide us in order to stitch the pocket to where we have marked out. So remember that at the pocket opening towards the upper part, we are going to be closing that with about 1.5 inches. Then we are going to be stitching that down. So after doing that, we'll place the pocket directly. We ensure that the measurements are accurate, the 6 inches by 7 inches length. Then we'll place it on the main fabrics. Then we'll be doing that for the second side as well. And I'm just going to go over to the sewing machine and stitch it directly. So this is how it looks like after stitching the pocket to it directly. So the next thing for us to do will be opening up the dress to the wrong side. So starting from the sleeve band, we're going to go ahead and stitch it all down to the hem of the dress, and also at the hem, we are going to go ahead to fold in the hemming allowance. So the last thing we'll be working on is the rope and the rope rack. So for the rope, just go ahead and fold it into 2 again. Then we'll be running a direct stitch all along the rope towards the hem. So after stitching down the rope, the next thing we'll do, we are going to lay flat our dress on a table so we can see it well. So we are going to be marking where the rope rack is going to be sitting. For this, the half length is 15 inches. The rope rack is going to be around the half length. So I'm just going to come down with about ½ inches. That will make it about 15.5 inches, just for easiness around the half length. So I'm going to be marking 15.5 inches all along in the front, and we are going to mark this also towards the back. And this is because it's going to serve as a guide for us when we want to stitch the rope rack on the main fabrics. So we are going to take our rope rack, and firstly we are going to go over to the sewing machine to stitch down the hem. So having done that, we are going to place it away from the center front with about 1 inch or ½ inches, so we can be able to pull the rope through it and tie it well. So having done that, we'll just use this office pin to serve as a guide, and that line is also going to be as a guide when we want to stitch it. So it's going to require some level of patience while doing this. You don't need to rush because there is no slit at the back through which we can easily open up the dress and stitch down the rope rack. So just using about half inches, we'll pull it in just like the way it's appearing by the camera. So we stitch down the first part all along, starting from the center front all the way back to the back, then back to the other side of the front. So while doing this, ensure that it does not hold another part of the dress, so you have to be very careful. So ensure that the particular part in which we are stitching is what is stitching, and even if you make a mistake by stitching another part of the dress, one can easily lose it up. So we stitch it all along through the marked out point, then we turn it over, then we go ahead to stitch the lower part as well. So after carefully stitching down the rope string rack, the next thing to do will be using a safety pin to pass in the rope across it. So starting from the opening, we pass it all along towards the back, then it's going to come out from the other side of the opening. Then having done that, the next thing to do, you can just go ahead to give it a nice press, then go ahead to draw the rope string while wearing it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I believe that you have learned a lot in this tutorial. I've gotten to this point. I believe that you have learned one or more thing. Please do well to subscribe, like. If you have any question, please do well to drop it in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in my next video.